ignored migration route set by his father to humiliate the elder leader. Tension hung thick in the surrounding woods, as the two powerfully built guerrillas crossed paths along narrow jungle trails. Kanto sprinted wildly, hammering his chest like beating war drums and snapping surrounding shrubs to intimidate his aging father into abdication. Left alone amid his son's open defiance, Titus's weathered eyes held no rage, only heartbroken sorrow and quiet restraint. He refrained from charging into a bloody brawl as he might have in youth, knowing fatal internal combat would destroy the family he had nurtured for 30 years. To shield vulnerable infants and defenseless females, the former guerrilla king made the heaviest and most noble compromise of his lifetime. After a fierce confrontation, he voluntarily abandoned the fertile central territory rich in food, leading a small band of aging loyal followers to the steepest, coldest volcanic fringes. Retreating to remote mountain edges, Titus embarked on the quietest, most fated seclusion of his later life. Harsh high-altitude terrain brought freezing overnight temperatures often dropping below zero, with thin air and sparse coarse vegetation testing every aging guerrilla's stamina. Yet even forgotten among jagged stones and drifting mist, Titus preserved the inherent dignity of a former king. Freed from tedious internal power disputes and brutal turf fights over banana groves against youthful rivals, he gained ample leisure to rest atop moss-covered ancient tree roots while volcanic fog soaked his glowing silver coat. Field scientists secretly monitoring him noted extraordinary peace and detachment in the elderly guerrilla. He would spend entire afternoons watching beetles creep across decaying timber or gazing at sunset sinking beyond distant mountain horizons. His eyes turned crystal clear like still ponds stripped of mortal vanity, void of longing for his old throne or resentment toward his traitorous son. On silent star-filled nights when alpine breezes swept through dense bamboo to produce soothing rustling ambient sounds, the elder Titus leaned comfortably against rocky outcrops, listening to steady breathing of elderly female companions beside him, cherishing the hard-earned tranquility he spent a lifetime securing. Much like a hermit who had fulfilled his earthly mission, he waited slowly and gracefully for natural release surrounded by time and wilderness. September 2009 brought the wettest, longest rainy season recorded across the Virunga Mountains, with non-stop downpours turning the entire woodland into sprawling green wetlands. Constant rainfall drained Titus's remaining strength, his heart no longer capable of supporting his hundreds-pound massive body. On a serene ethereal early morning when rains finally eased, golden sunlight pierced dense cloud cover to spill across earth-scented grassland. Titus lay peacefully inside a leaf-and branch nest he had constructed himself, his breaths shallow and labored with every chest rise and fall. Several elderly females who had accompanied him since youth lingered beside the nest, skipping daily foraging to keep a solemn wake beside their king. Research cameras captured this touching final moment. Titus slowly opened his eyes to take one last look over the misty forest under his lifelong protection. His gaze lingered on familiar volcanic peaks and budding bamboo groves before settling on the wrinkled faces of his lifelong companions. He lifted his scarred battle-worn giant paw and waved faintly in midair, bidding silent farewell to the whole world. On September 14, 2009, the legendary silverback known as Gorilla King passed away deep within Rwanda's mountain ranges at 35 years old. His resting posture looked so peaceful that scientists initially mistook his passing for an ordinary deep afternoon nap. When glory fades and empires dissolve into dust swept away by time, what lasting legacy did Titus leave across ancient African soil? Unlike human monarchs who erected grand palaces and tombs, he forged an everlasting spiritual legend rooted deep within wild nature. Over 35 years of life, he proved boundless tenderness, self-control and resilience could exist alongside overwhelming physical strength. Devastated by broken childhood, he refused destruction. Blessed with supreme power, he rejected tyranny. Wounded by his own son's betrayal, he avoided vengeful madness. A true wilderness sage, he trekked across misty woodlands leaving footprints embodying love, guardianship and forgiveness. Wrapped within the soothing hypnotic atmosphere woven from his life story, listeners seemed to catch distant wind and pattering rain drifting down from African highlands. Long since crossing the boundary between life and death, Titus returned to an eternal homeland free from prejudice and conflict. Released from the glorious yet exhausting silver fur that marked his kingship, he runs unrestrained beneath endless stars as an ordinary wild gorilla at last. And so our bedtime tale of King Titus the gorilla reaches its end. Night has fully settled and distant mountains rest embraced by darkness. May the gentle giant story wrap you in complete peace of mind. Close your eyes, lulled by faint forest ambient noise, and drift smoothly into deep sleep. May warm peaceful dreams unfold boundless green woodland and the noble silverback watching quietly over you amid swirling mist. Good night.